Good evening, Free Enterprise fans, and welcome to another night of some Free Enterprise action. I'm Alicel, and I am joined here by Zoe Vermillion. How are you doing tonight, Zoe?
I am doing fantastic, Ali, and I hope this race is going to be a fantastic one as well. I expect it will be. As with all of Highway to the Threemus Zone, this will be a race between the shortest named runner and the longest named runner. At least I think that's how the rules were laid out. I could be wrong, but it's definitely the case for this one.
Well, we may have to consult the flowchart.
Not the flow chart. I thought we were done with the flow chart. We're at the end of the flow chart.
But we've got some fun little objectives here. We've got have Cocal Forge, which is our objective for all races. And then we have to defeat the bosses of Baron Inn, defeat the bosses of Dwarf Castle, and defeat the Baron Castle basement throne.
Yeah, very interesting objectives. One is available right off the bat. That would be defeat the bosses of Baron Inn. We need underground access to get to Dwarf Castle, also to get Forge, but I think our runners are hoping they don't have to do Forge because the only other thing we'll need will be a Baron key and a Witter's Romus. So we're looking for basically 3 key items, and we'll be able to get done with this. We do have a Cecil start, and that is really going to be fun to watch because as with all of the Threemus Zone races, we have the vanilla agility flag on, which means that if there is ever a Cecil in the party, he is considered the agility anchor, at least the highest priority one if you have more than one. And because we're in the table flags, you have permajoin. So with a starting Cecil, you are stuck with this Cecil and therefore stuck with vanilla agility.
Yep. With this Cecil, you have to make the decision. Do you want him to take care of the floor? Or do you want to try and find some good weapons for him? Maybe an Excalibur, crystal sword? At which point then, not much can stand up to a crystal sword Cecil.
Yeah, you have to be careful because these runners do run into an early Excal or an early crystal sword. There's a few spots in particular where vanilla agility can bite you, even if you have a really strong weapon. I have definitely run into a Cecil start with a crystal sword that ended up taking me a long time because there was a required Wyvern at Asura, and I did not quite have the agility set up to get through that. So.
Yeah, Wyvern is the big issue with vanilla agility because, yeah, if you get a Wyvern in a bad spot, there is not a whole lot you can do.
Yep. It looks like our racers are underway, so we will see who our second available character is, as well as our boss in the Beigen spot and what key item we have.
And that is a Yang and a glass helmet.
And a bunch of orbs serving as the king's advisor. It looks like the king has upgraded and is in the modern era using a CPU to get all of his advice from. Not sure if that's a good idea. Social media can give you some bad advice, but you know, it is the king of Baron, and Beigen wasn't much better, so maybe it's an upgrade.
And you don't have to worry about just random snakes all over the place.
This is definitely an upgrade.
But both of our runners turning down that Yang, not surprising. He is not the best early game character. Gets his power through levels, but early game, he's more of a dead weight.
Yeah. Starts off, he's got a decent HP pool for starting, but he's not going to be doing much damage until he gets some levels and maybe a couple of good claws to take care of some boss weaknesses. But speaking of someone who only needs a few levels to do some damage, we have a Palom here in the Watery Pass.
Yep, Palom, definitely the more preferred black mage. Learns Quake at level 23 and does have a better XP curve than Rydia.
Yeah, also gets Virus at 19, gets Nuke at 52, which is 2 levels higher than Rydia, but less experience because consistent experience charts just aren't a thing in this game. Coffee and Chocobos opting to not take that Palom just yet, whereas Dia's a fan of mages and says, "Oh, you're giving me an early Palom? Yes, please. I will take this Palom and I will use him."
And for those who may be wondering, well, why don't you need to get some characters? Characters are sent to Mysidia. If you dismiss a character, you can go and pick them up later. So once you find kind of party you're looking for, you can go pick them all up at once and start getting some levels on them.
We have Coffee and Chocobos in here checking out some of the Kaipo shops. Looks like he took a peek in the bed, but I was looking away because Windows was making angry noises at me, so I missed who the character was.
It was a twin.
Was the ponytail to the left or to the right?
I'm not sure. It was very, very quick.
All right. Thanks for not answering because I honestly not sure if I could remember which one's which, but I know there's a difference. But there is no difference between this character in DMC and our starting character because that's another Cecil with a very similar palette. If we find a really good Cecil weapon, we can now have Cecil go burr and use the second Cecil as an anchor. You do lose a character slot for that, but Crystal Sword Cecil can do enough damage to make up for definitely 2 character slots.
Yep, and depending on our key item loadout, we may even get an Excalibur for that Cecil.
Indeed. But we have a Tella and another Punch Mage. This Tella is just incredibly important. This allows you to do a D-Machine grind once you get your Darkness Crystal and have cleared ordeals. Tella has a huge amount of utility spells in the case of a potential hook route or even some nasty early game bosses. A very, very important find in the table of flags. Tella quickly went from no thank you in Football Gauntlet to MVP in Threemus Zone. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yep, finding that Tella early just kind of guarantees that you're going to have a really good grind on the table, that you're not going to have to worry about possibly doing doors or having to do some interesting shenanigans.
I still want to see a clapper grind, but chat saying it was a ponytail to the left in the Kaipo bed, so potentially another Palom. I'm going to be trusting this person, and if this person is incorrect, I will do nothing because I have no power to do anything, but I will stare disappointingly. It was Porum. Okay. The stare has begun.
And chat also pointing out that CNC did take that second Cecil, so planning on finding a decent weapon and making Cecil go burr.
Yeah, very interesting choice. This honestly could be a little bit of metagaming. It is not unknown to the rest of the tournament field that Dia absolutely loves her mage strats, and CNC may be thinking, let's take a bit more physical to potentially address any sort of nasty Valvalis or anything like that where mages may slow me down a bit. So be interesting to see if this was a meta play or if this is just something that CNC is comfortable with. Having not yet seen a good Cecil weapon, I find the choice to take the second Cecil to be an interesting one. But as I say every time I'm on comms, I'm no longer in this tournament for a reason. So what do I know?
I just like Cecil, so I take all of them.
You're also not in this tournament any longer, if I remember correctly.
No, I did not even make it to like round 2, so don't take advice from me. And we have some vanilla here on screen with this antlion.
Gambit's doing me proud. We had a vanilla start and a vanilla antlion. Come on, vanilla sand ruby. This is actually kind of an annoying vanilla fight for this party, though. So it's going to take a little bit of time. Luckily, it has a flame rod. We'll be able to use that for some meager fire 1 damage.
Yeah, unfortunately, Palom hasn't learned any of his tier 2 spells yet, so just gonna have to keep throwing fire 1s at it.
Our restreamer Gambit saying, channeling my inner Dathis. You realize at this point that I've rolled more vanilla recently than Dathis. You could just say you're channeling your inner Zoe. Love you, Gambit. Anyway.
And CoffeeAndChocobos finding a Lilith Rod for sale here in Silvera. A very nice item for if CNC picks up that Tella and is doing the D-Machine grind, because it casts Psych, which is just like the spell, except for it doesn't take 10 years.
Yeah, very good. If for whatever reason our runners are unable to find Ether 1s or Ether 2s. You have the Cecil in your party who's a paladin, which you will at that point. He has a little bit of MP, even at level 1. Any other mages, you can just start siphoning their MP off of them. Very, very good way of getting MP back on Tella to afford those weak casts. But CNC heading over here to Fabul, still doing some shopping percentage. A lot of lit arrows. Basically out of money now. Not heading to do Fabul defense. Might be heading over to Antlion, which Dia has just finished up. So we'll get our first key item check of the seed.
And not a key item, but a very nice pickup with the pass. That allows our runners, instead of getting a fun little show in Troya, instead lets them go straight to Zeromus.
Yep, and with all of our objectives being earthbound, unless the key items required are on the moon, we may not see the moon tonight, which could be interesting because it means we may not see a darkness crystal, which could make this Tella a little bit less useful. And we might be able to see some really interesting Zeromus strats. Dia has been working with Zilch on a very interesting strat if you can get multiple Paloms. And I'm sure CoffeeAndChocobos is well versed in a myriad of different low-level Zeromus strats. So,
And Dia gonna show us who is attacking Fabul Castle today.
I hope it's Yang. I always love it when Yang is coming home and his country doesn't recognize him.
I hope it's Wyvern, just because I like Wyvern.
There's better spots for Wyvern though. Like that Odin spot is a pretty good spot for Wyvern.
That's true.
Well, it's 3 robed figures. It's not the color robe that you would see in vanilla, so this is some flavor of ice cream, but it's dark imps.
I guess if it's red robes, it would be cherry ice cream.
Oh, like black cherry. There's actually a name for that.
Cherry Garcia?
No, but Cherry Garcia is very good. Okay, you do comms. I'm going to think about ice cream for a moment.
Well, we see Palom putting out some of those tier 2 spells with Ice 2. He learns those very quickly. I believe he learns that at 11. And our tracker Possumorphy is pointing out that we have seen a Thunderclaw in Mist. Oh, and 2 Black Swords. Those are Dark Knight Cecil's best weapon, and they will swoon the enemy if they are susceptible to it. But only finds Dark Elf there in Mist, but goes ahead, resets out of that, and is heading down to Antlion.
I can't remember it, and it's really bothering me. There'll be at one point during this commentary where it just comes to me, and I'm just going to shout a random word. It's going to have no context, but that's what it is. It's another name for Black Cherry.
And Gambit, our restreamer, pointing out that Leviathan was in the waterfall. Very appropriate.
Very appropriate. Taking a nice little shower there.
But with those Black Sword pickups, Coffee and Chocobos is going to have a much easier time with these Dark Imps, as they do not have the boss bit flag set, so they can be swooned.
Yeah, and if you time your swing to get them when they basically have a completely empty ATB bar, quote unquote, swoon will hit 100% of the time. You can make use of that with a stop spell or anything like that. Dia finds a hook.
That's pretty disgusting.
Yep. It's one of two routes underground. There could be still a magma key on the overworld, which would be the easier one. But we might have to see this hook route.
Now, we'll see if Dia wants to go ahead and clear out the rest of the overworld in case there is a magma key hiding possibly behind Baron Inn. But looks like at least gonna at least check the character. Coffee and Chocobos, finding that Edward on Hobbs, decides, no thank you, not today.
Yep, that's both our owners at this point are probably just hoping that they don't have to do Eddie strats. Both are pretty comfortable with it, but they're very like high anxiety strats to try and pull off. If they have to go low level, I'm sure they're hoping for a slightly different variant than the traditional Edward strat.
But we did see a cursed ring here in the armor shop in Eblin, which very nice thing to find.
Yes. Very, very nice. Hopefully CNC goes to check that and finds it as well. Could be a bit of a difference maker. Not 100% sure. But definitely with this vanilla agility and having this Sea Soul, a cursed ring and or a drained sword can be a really big deal.
Oh my. That is a free fight at the Rubicant spot.
Yep. If there's a similarly free fight at King Queen, this hook route could be something that Dia dives pretty early. She is exiting out, so she's not going to go see if she can be cheeky and just get through it. But if she doesn't find a magma key, she at least knows that the Rubicant spot is not one she needs to worry about.
And Coffee and Chocobos has picked up his hook and looks like going to do the same dive as Dia and going to go ahead and see who the character is down there.
We'll get the knowledge of King Queen Eblin. Hopefully we'll check that shop as well. Try and get them back on even footing as far as kind of the important equipment goes. And Dia is climbing ordeals. This will get her Tella to know his full repertoire of spells, as well as turn both these Cecils that have been available thus far, the one in her party and the one she left behind, into Paladin. And that's another Yang.
What is that, like 4?
We had the starting Yang, we had Ordeals Yang, we had Mysidia Yang, and we have Cave Yang. So yes, 4 Yangs. Black Forest. I remembered.
And we have a turtle here in the first spot. Not that scary here.
Yeah, this is not a terribly bad spot. I recently threw together a spreadsheet to say like what the danger spots for Kainatsu were, because his wave is based on his current HP. Does anywhere from 4% to 6% damage of his current HP. And when his max HP is really high, that's a very high damage value. And if he's also fast, that's very scary. This place has neither high HP nor high agility, so.
And Dia doing a wonderful job at hitting all of those weaknesses of Kainazo.
Yep. Ice when the water is down, and lightning when the water is up. Makes Yang very fun in this fight if you have both a thunder and an ice claw on him.
But now that the turtle is back in his shell, this fight is all but over. Oh, and on CNC's side, picks up a bonus siren from one of the chests here.
Yeah, so that's not the biggest find in the world, but it can prove to be very useful. With the table flags, sirens are not going to be able to be stolen, and they're not available in any shop except for Kukul's shop, and even then it's a very small chance they will appear. So that one siren, there's a number of different places you can use it to give yourself just a quick a quick surge of experience points into your characters. If you're having trouble getting through a particular boss, you need a certain spell or what have you. So it's a pretty nice find, especially if you use it on an egg underground. 34,000 experience, usually when you get underground, is going to be a nice handful of levels. Chat asking, was Dark Knight Cecil the title screen character? Yes. DKC was our starting character, and there was a second Cecil in the in Dampian, and CNC has only taken that character, whereas Dia has taken a Palom from Watery Pass and a Tella from Mysidia.
And Dia has gone ahead and let Balnab explode, and is now going to take on the real fight.
Is it just me, or is like the two Cecil palettes we have just so barely different that you could hold them up side by side and most people wouldn't be able to notice the difference?
Yes.
I should stop looking at Cecil and pay more attention to Dia's side. Dia showing off some good game knowledge. A good majority of Lugei's spells and abilities can be reflected, so has a Star Veil up to get the emission back. I believe the beam will also bounce back. I think it is only the laser which will pierce through the Star Veil.
And is it the laser that is based on Dr. Lugei's HP?
It is, and I was slightly corrected that it does not pierce the Star Veil, but it just doesn't get reflected back. So that is even better to have that Star Veil up. But yes, the laser is the one that's based off of Lugei's current HP. Shoutouts to our tracker, Possum Morpheus, for correcting my game knowledge there.
But Dia taking a safety save and is going to show us what's here in the crystal dais.
Well, I was going to say an apple a day keeps the doctor away, but the doctor was guarding this apple, so... At least we have our paladins now. This is an annoying spot to see Mom Bomb. Not difficult, just obnoxious.
It's so rude. I love it.
Mom Bomb, as part of her script, has basically an extra like 9,000 hit points you have to get through once she starts the exploding phase. And if you can't do it, then she's going to explode regardless. With this party comp, Dia's just going to wait for the explosion and then AoE down the little bombs. Our tracker pointing out that Dia's Palom already has virus. That is a huge deal. It's a very powerful single target spell. Going to make Baron in very simple, most likely, which is one of our objectives. And at this point, our final key item check before going underground, unless we have like a demist at Magus Sisters. Fingers crossed.
Demist at Magus Sisters holding the Earth Crystal, which then guards the Baron Key, would be wonderful.
That would be very, very nice, especially if inside Baron was the Earth Crystal. Dia has her Tella online, has her Cecil as a paladin, has her Palom with virus, and is going to head right over to Baron Inn to show us who the character is here and show us these bosses. I doubt she reads the headline, though. Yeah. Ooh.
That is extra spicy.
All right, well, there goes Demist at Magus Sisters, but at least we have Demist here in Baron Inn guarding a cane. This Demist is not going to be particularly hard. It's a little punchy, but doesn't have any HP here, basically. Dia, are you wanting experience on this Cecil? But this character here, this Kane, is actually pretty interesting. Back to what I was mentioning earlier, how Dia loves her mage parties. A mage party's biggest weakness is going to be Valvalis, especially if she's a spot where magic doesn't hit her. Having this Kane as an option will allow you to get through that. So I don't think she will take the Kane here, but before she does her grind, I think she will have a very important decision to make regarding that Kane.
And we see the virus taking out the front 3 dolls. Hopefully this second virus will be enough to take out the back.
And she gets through it, and Gambit, you're supposed to put key items into the seed. We talked about this.
Well, maybe Mama Mist will have something?
At this point, my best guess is that Mama Mist is going to have a Gungnir.
And Dia buying a Unihorn. Interesting.
Starveils and vampires have been located. That's very important for 1200 HP strats. I won't get into that, but we will see. Oh, that's just dark. Gambit, you can't just put the package on Rydia's mom, which is then used to burn down the village. That's just not cool.
Well, and thankfully Dia came in the backside, so wasn't forced to then go through that whole cutscene.
Yeah. We'll likely at least peek this character. Never mind. Dia doesn't care. I would have been interested to see if maybe it was going to be like a second Palom or something. But
it was a Tella.
Oh, it was Tella. I was talking about Black Forest ice cream elsewhere. So that was a very fast check. I was only looking away for like 2 seconds. Dia's speed is blazing and blinding. Anyway, hooker out time.
And is going to pick up one of those cursed rings. Whereas CoffeeAndChocobos is taking some random encounters up here on Mount Ordeals, probably hoping to get Palom a few levels.
Yep, a few levels at Luge with this particular party comp. Not the best. We saw CNC go and get Palom to maybe help push through it, but wanted to at least get to the level 2 spells. So did a few random encounters. Has that Siren in hand, could have summoned 2 Liliths, which might have helped, but maybe wants to save that for a rainy day.
And Dia is blazing through this hook route. Looks like not going to check any of these chests and try and take on the Mad Ogres.
No, Dia only wants to know who is at King Queen. There's a few things that could be pretty nasty there. Evil Wall. Odin wouldn't be too bad if you can get Tella to get a lit 3 off. But Dark Knight Cecil would also be really rude. But
Ogopogo would be pretty bad.
Ogopogo, yeah. Knowing that there is just a free fight behind it to get you underground is really nice. So we'll see. I'm also very curious as to why Dia still has her mages in the front row. But I guess time saved menuing is time saved on the seed, and she just hasn't needed it yet. Okay, that's not bad.
And discovered her mages were in the front row.
Yeah, she had left the row from Ordeal's back attack, and like many a runner, just never bothered to change it back. But this spot isn't going to be too bad. Bluff up with Palom. You can throw up a Star Veil, and then just start reflecting Fire 3s and Fire 2s. Or just go straight for Virus. It's faster, I suppose. Ooh. Board AI, please.
Yeah, that was one very, very fast and angry Kenazo. Not Kenazo, Mylon.
Yeah. It was a very, very punchy, but throws the wizard hat onto Tella. The Mylon portion of elements, I believe, still maintains the undead typing, so should reduce the melee damage taken.
And looks like just going to go for a direct cast of Fire 3.
It reduced it, but not by much. But it was enough to overcome the counter script into the refill, because C200 got through both Mylon and Ruby, so we didn't even get to see quarter leg.
And not even going to take a safety save. This is a completely free fight.
Yep, gonna kill off Cecil. He's already gotten more experience than she probably wanted, but does have the cursed ring, so those few levels from the Baron Inn probably aren't a huge concern, but this is a pretty hefty chunk of experience that could make the agility situation a bit rocky. But yeah, as I had mentioned earlier, Tella with those level 3 spells, if you're hitting a boss weakness, can really do some damage. Tella took down the elements in 1 cast, can take down Odin there with 1 lit 3 cast. We don't normally think of him as an offensive powerhouse, but in very particular circumstances, at kind of medium HP spots, he can do the job all by himself.
Now just kind of waiting for them to become conscious.
And then fade away, and there's a cool 25,000 experience points for basically just casting virus on your own Cecil. It's Quake on Palom, which, depending on who is in Dwarf Castle, could be enough to get through that and get that third objective completed.
Yep. Developers never really intended for you to have Palom long enough to get to Quake, so just kind of threw his spells in random places.
Like, Quake is the only spell in his spell list that really makes no sense to me where it's located. Like, Virus is a little early, but getting to 19 on Ordeals is already kind of a stretch. Getting to 23 on Ordeals would take a lot of grinding, and then it's not even useful on the hardest boss up there, being Mylon Zed. So, yeah, that's the one spell on the spell list that just doesn't make sense where they placed it. The fact that they even gave him a full spell list at all kind of surprises me. It's very useful for us.
And Coffee and Chocobos showing us he had picked up a light sword while in Antlion and has put that on his Cecil.
Yep, gonna take down these Baron and bosses, get his objective 2 lit up. Meanwhile, Dia finding a sparkle here. Wyvern is really obnoxious at this particular location. Does have the cursed ring, so might be able to get through it regardless, but it could get really bad. If you want to see anything here, it's probably going to be D-Lunars because you can hit them both with Quake. Well, that's bad.
That's gonna be fun.
You don't like casting black magic onto Ogopogo unless you're casting lightning magic, because he responds to lightning magic with weak instead of the blaze counter. And your Cecil's not going to be doing a ton of melee damage here, so just going to bluff up this Palom and do what you can.
Yeah, unfortunately, kind of Cecil doesn't have any gear. And yeah, Ogopogo's nasty.
Yeah. Couple bluffs, though. Going to increase Palom's wisdom and then going to hit with a Quake. Don't think this is going to be quite enough, but queuing up this Cure 3 to counteract the blaze damage. Very, very heads up there. Bluff is a very powerful ability. It is I believe Bluff is one of the J abilities that we have enabled with the J ability flag. Basically increases Palom's wisdom by 16 each time you use it, and it is stackable. So that's basically an entire Stardust Rod's worth of wisdom from just using one of his turns in battle.
But with that second Quake is enough to take out that Ogopogo.
Now we get to see who is in Golbez's spot today. Oh, Gambit, did you?
I hope it's Wyvern.
I hope this is Wyvern too. Also, hi, Rosa. We will definitely take you, Rosa. It's Plague. Womp.
No, my favorite dwarf castle is when you have a Golbez and then you have a Wyvern.
My favorite is a alt gauntlet into a Wyvern, because that battle of attrition is so rough. But chat is seeing the full dichotomy of commentator versus racer, because if me and Ali were racing right now, we would be so happy to see that Plague. As commentators, we're like, well, that's boring.
Yeah, Plague's only exciting in the back attack spot on Ordeals.
Also in Cave Magnes can also be a really rough plague, depending on your physical setup.
Yeah, that's true.
CNC has cleared up the Baron Inn, gotten his second objective done, gotten his package from Rydia's mom, and is going to maybe check this package, see the Tella, and then we'll be hook route bound. CNC does not check. Dia does check what is around Luca's neck. And Luca is sporting the pinnacle of dwarf fashion, the spoon. It's her pendant today.
Spoon.
Spoon. I mean, that's how you know that she's royalty, is only royalty is allowed to wear spoons around their neck. It's just dwarf facts.
Well, I have a spoon ring, so it's just fashion.
I think if you lived in Dwarf Castle, you would be considered royalty. Depends on how tall you are, I guess, though. Anyway, to the Fey March.
Yep. Dia gonna head down here, probably gonna check her freebie and see if there's anything free in the king and queen spot.
And that's kind of a vanilla adamant if you think about it long enough. That's half of our forge objective. So we are just looking for either a Baron key or a legend sword. Gambit.
Rude.
Please let that be Wyvern Edisura. Please let that be a required Wyvern Edisura.
Meanwhile, CNC is going to go ahead and take on these. Sorry, I got distracted by the NPC being rude.
These Mad Ogres here in the chest. Notably has a cane in his party. So picked up that cane from Baron Inn. Seems at this point to be going mostly physical with a little bit of magic as a treat. That last party spot, I imagine, will probably go to Rosa, and then he maybe plans on doing a Mac Giant grind instead of a D-Machine grind. Whereas Dia has a more mage-heavy party with a Cecil Endinger. Does that make all the moon bosses accounted for with the double sparkle? I may have missed a sparkle in the overworld, maybe on Hobbs, but I know we've seen Ogopogo and Plague, Wyvern, D-Lunars, and Taildim are still out in the open somewhere.
Yep, so fairly good chance that one of those is Wyvern.
Ari Shimmer saying Hobbs was a variant of Guard, so unless it was Mist Cave, because I was very focused on Ice Cream there for a while, so I missed a few checks.
No, that was Dark Elf.
Dark Elf, okay. I'm now all caught up, I think. Dia is... I was trying to segue from caught up to this, and it didn't work. Dia's going to check Sheila 1, having dive through Stealth Cave, check your freebies, hoping to hit Sheila having the goods. Well, that's a type of goods.
That's a grind.
It's a grind, and that is, what, 7 more key item opened up for us. Maybe a grind is good. The extra key items you have to hunt for, maybe not as good.
Yeah, we'll see if Dia wants to check moon bosses or is more happy checking underground.
Well, at this point, underground, she has the Fey March bosses and the keyless tower play. So she's going to wake up the big whale. I anticipate her maybe grabbing a Yang here for her final party slot for a good slingshot target. Maybe that second Cecil if she's feeling particularly spicy about maybe getting that Excalibur. And then I expect to see her grind and probably go ahead and dive the moon. You have 7 key items up there compared to the 3 you have currently available to you in the underground. So the math is definitely in favor of checking.
And I don't remember if Dia's party is full.
She has the 1 slot because she grabbed Rosa from Dwarf Castle, which was her 4th party member. So she has 1 slot remaining.
And looks like she's going to head up to the moon and maybe see if there's another Palom or Rosa or anything else that can go pew-pew with magic.
Yeah. Dia definitely wants to see a Palom or a Rydia here. Would probably also accept a Rosa or a Porum. Anything else, and I would have to think she's going to lean either towards that Yang or that Kane. Kane strictly as a safety net for Valvalis.
And I did not see what CNC got from the Mad Ogre chest.
I did not either, but I did see that that was another Spoony Bard on the moon.
Yeah, that wasn't one of the choices that Dia wanted.
No, not at all. And it looks like she is not going to go grind. She saw that at the top of the tower here was either the Baron Guards or the Officer Soldier, so knows that Keyless Tower is free, having stone on Tella, and is just going to go get this check and see, do I really need to do the moon? Do I really need to grind? Or can I just do this and be done with this?
Or may even be hoping for that Sand Ruby, knowing that it is a mage character.
It's also true. The halfway save point makes sense here for me. If you get to the top and it's not what you want, you can always reset all the way back out. But if you... there's an argument made to not take that save point there and just take the one at the top if you happen to wipe. But maybe thinking about doing some looting if things don't play out here.
Yeah, maybe looking for something to kind of buff up your party if you do have to take a melee character.
Yeah. The guard will do a little dance. And is it 2 guards or is it 4 guards? We have Officer Soldier. Going straight for the stone strats. Not going for my favorite thing, which is using Toad on the officer, because the soldiers, they don't take orders from a frog.
Yeah, I can see why, but the froggy is so cute.
It's very cute. But the Quake takes out the 3 front, so the officer will just retreat here. You miss out on the most dense, the biggest chunk of experience. Don't try and make sentences more complicated than they need to be. And gets a Crystal Gauntlet and just resets all the way back to Mysidia.
And now knows probably going to have to take a physical fighter.
And taking the best slingshot target in Yang, doesn't need much equipment, just needs levels. Yang at high levels will be able to punch through a potential Valvalis. You won't be able to utilize your mage characters if it's at a spot that's magic immune, but with the Bacchus one that we got at a Baron Inn, it's doable. And that is more than can be said if you had a party full of mages.
I am a little disappointed in the palette that got chosen for Yang. There was a very nice pink paletted Yang.
And when you're given an option of 4 Yangs, you have to pick the pink dotted one. Like Dia, pink is kind of your color. Take the extra few seconds to pick out the pink palette.
But Dia heading to the right location to get ethers.
Yeah. I don't think she'd ever found them, but guess is right that, hey, they're here in Troya. Question from chat. Can you do an effective slingshot while keeping Cecil at low levels? Yes. Just make sure your Cecil is dead at the end of the battle. Dead characters get no experience. She is... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, yeah, that would make this a much more difficult game to route experience-wise.
Yes, very much so. I think that'd be a fun flag, though. And by fun, I mean a very, very annoying flag. But she is looking for life potions, I believe, at this point. I don't know if she's actually found them. But didn't find them in Kaipo. Just reset back here to Baron. Going to set up the manipulation and go for it.
And would you like to kind of talk about why we're fighting random fights?
Of course. So our lovely tournament organizers, when taking feedback and observations from the Fabul Gauntlet, realized that the D-Machine grind is a very good grind, and they were right. And the traditional D-Machine setup involves using a step chart and running away from encounters inside the Giant of Babel until you can finagle your way into a D-Machine fight to begin your grind. They thought that by turning on the flag E can't run, which means you cannot run from random encounters, that would make the D-Machine grind no longer viable for this tournament. They did not account for the fact that the free enterprise community is both stubborn and resourceful. And so Simbu worked up a bit of a manipulation, and Twisted Flax compiled that information into a document and gave us a new way to manipulate our encounter table and RNG seed to guarantee a D-Machine fight. So you run around Baron Inn for a bit, figure out what step you get your encounter. That tells you if you need to take more encounters, if so, how many, and then if you need to go to the save room or the elements room in the Giant to get your D-Machine fight. Completely safe, even with E can't run. And then the D-Machine grind was back online for the tournament, and the TOs probably were a little sad.
Never misjudge our community's ability to not do a D-Machine grind.
Yeah. But it just goes to show exactly how resourceful this community is and how much we work to find strategies in this game. You tell us no, and we don't take no for an answer. Unless you can hard code it so that D-Machines just don't give experience or they do not appear whatsoever, the D-Machine grind is always going to be viable.
And meanwhile, Coffee and Chocobos having a little bit more trouble with this Ogopogo fight.
Yeah, not surprising. Ogopogo is pretty nasty. We saw Dia have to use couple of bluffed quakes here. TNC is using Cecil to get through it. Looks like both Cecils are in their high 20s or low 20s. So that's pretty interesting for agility. Does have that cursed ring, I believe, from Cave Eblin on that middle Cecil, keeping his agility low. But you can't really risk him getting many more levels at this point. Otherwise, he's going to exit the realm of reliable agility for an Anchor on Zeromus.
Now, I do know he did also pick up a Drain Sword, so that is an additional 5, I believe.
Oh, hello, guest commentator, I imagine.
Yes, she has decided to be annoying.
I think you mean she has decided to be cute.
she bit me on the nose.
My cat does that too. It usually just means that she's hungry. My cat's currently lying in the cat bed to the left of me, so.
She is very angrily wagging her tail and seems like she's not happy, but she also won't move. So but oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say Dia is going a bit of an interesting route here on the D machine grind. I don't believe that she did find life potions, so what she is doing to kind of get doubles to get more experience off is using Rosa to cast life 1 in addition to using life potions. Had a bit of a mistime on this round, but does still manage to get at least the life glitch off with the potion and still got a double. So had the life 1 landed properly, that could have even been a triple.
Does need to kind of get some more HP on her party. There we go. But yeah, not having life potions definitely makes this sort of grind a little more complicated.
Yeah. Fortunately, we do start with a starter kit that gives us anywhere from, I believe, like 12 to 15, maybe 10 to 15, something in the low double digits. So between the life potions and the life 1 from Rosa, it is not super hard to get however many you need here. I didn't catch exactly what this Palam's level was, but I imagine she needs somewhere in the range of 18 or 20 D machines to get Palam all the way up to Newt, because we only have 5 key items, so we're not getting double experience.
And CNC has gotten through Dwarf Castle and can mark off Objective 3 from his side.
Yep, at this point, he is a good handful of checks behind Dia, but all that really matters is who gets that last key item and gets to his aromas first. So while CNC may seem behind, it's definitely too early to call. If Dia decides to go to the moon after this grind and say Baron Key and Legend Sword are sitting in the Fey March behind those 2 lunar sparkles, maybe CNC does those first. There's still a decent amount of race to be had here, and I am getting very excited for the finish.
Yep. Just the sheer number of spaces available and the way that key items could fall and the number of chains that we still have available.
Yeah, we still have the Twin Heart, we still have the Luca key, we still have the Tower key, we still have the Rat Tail, we still have the Fan. Any of those could lead to either one of the 2 key items we want for go mode, or could even lead just down a completely dead-end chain, which could be a huge time sink if a bunch of them are strung together, or could be a quick save scum back to where you are.
And once you get up to the moon, you really don't want to come back down, so you have to make the decision, is this key item worth it?
Yeah, always an interesting decision when you get something like a pan on the moon, and you have to wonder, do I go and save scum all the way down to the underground and go pop yang and then turn into the 2? It is 2 key items, but if you whiff on both, that's not an insignificant time sink in order to get those checks out of the way.
But CNC seems to be taking a very similar route to what Dia took. Will likely go ahead and turn in Sheila 1 and get that Darkness Crystal.
Yep. We'll have Darkness Crystal in hand and do a grind. either with a Tella in the party for a D machine grind, or if he wants to grab, say, a Yang, could do a Mac Giant grind instead. Would leave him without much healing, but Power Overwhelming can cover a decent amount of sins, or maybe even just takes a Rosa just to have the healing there.
But Dia still plugging away on these D machines.
I have to imagine she is approaching the end of her grind. Probably see a few more D machines come out, depending on the number of life glitches she's able to pull off. While CNC goes and gets his darkness crystal and will likely be considering how he wants to do his grind, I do want to go ahead and thank our behind the scenes crew tonight. We have Gambit on the restream, also rolled this seed. Very, very entertaining so far. Possumorpheus tracking. I believe this is Possumorpheus's first time being a part of the restream team, so welcome aboard. We definitely appreciate having you, and your performance during the tournament was admirable. And then across the booth from me is Ali Sal, or however you pronounce his name. That's why I always just call you Ali.
That is fine. Everybody kind of makes up their own pronunciation. But right back at you, Zoe. It's always a pleasure to commentate with you.
And then a huge thanks to our partner network, Randomania, for allowing us to restream here tonight. For all the Free Enterprise fans and Randomania fans, our partner networks are a huge part of how we're able to bring so many matches to y'all, and we're quickly approaching like 250 restreams throughout this entire tournament, which is nothing short of amazing. It's like we're at like 244. Not sure if the two from today have been counted into that. So yeah, we started this tournament at the beginning of August, and we'll finish with well over 250 restreams. That's a lot of Free Enterprise over the course of 3.5 months.
So much Free Enterprise. But we also want to thank everybody who comes out and watches us. If it weren't for y'all, we'd just kind of be talking to dead air.
And Dia has completed her grind. Going to go here to the moon. Looks like she is intent on clearing some moon bosses. Chat was discussing the merits of full clearing the moon here, and I had to agree with them. With this pass in hand, go ahead and clear the moon fully. That way you don't have to worry about coming back. And if and when you find your Legend Sword or Baron key, you can just cut short and leave, and then otherwise you go chase the trails from there. Whereas CNC is coming down to do Helis Tower, similar to what we saw Dia do after getting her Darkness Crystal. He will see this Crystal Gauntlet and then probably consider his own grind.
Now that we're heading down to the moon, what are some of the rude things that could be awaiting us?
Well, there's the ever-present Wyvern. There is Valvalis. Golbez is still lurking around. The Alt Gauntlet is still lurking around. Evil Wall's still floating around. There's Odin. Odin won't be the worst, to be clear, but can still be very punchy if board AI doesn't cooperate. Paildim doesn't much care for anything unless you nuke him. Probably the easiest of the moon bosses that we haven't seen yet. I'm just really hoping to get something like Ribbon Room Val, Ogopogo Spot, Alt Gauntlet, and then like a Wyvern in the Plague Spot. That would be spicy. Maybe Golbez at Crystal Sword.
Our restreamer Gambit is calling for Ogopogo or Alt Gauntlet at Ogopogo holding the Baron key, which has the Legend Sword behind it.
Gambit, if you pulled that off, I'll give you a cookie.
I'd give you 2 cookies.
It's too rich for my blood. Just one for me. But Dia is doing what we can traditionally think of as the mathematically correct play, going down to the bottom of the lunar subterrane. There is the ribbon room here, which rewards 2 key items for 1 boss. It does have 42,000 hit points, so it is a bit of an investment. But then we'll likely see the White Spear Altar and the Masamune Altar shortly thereafter, or heading to Crystal Sword Altar and then Murasame Altar if needed, with a final stop at Value Cave. Oh.
So Bahamut is not one of those difficult bosses.
All he does,
all he does is count down from 5, and then he nukes you in the face.
Boo. Chat pointing out, don't forget to kill this Cecil. This Cecil will definitely get slingshot if he gets any experience here, and that would be 200,000 experience. So Dia desperately remembered at the last moment that she needs to kill Cecil.
And looks like CNC is taking on some trap chests here in Sylph Cave.
I love to see it. This is a good spot for experience. When this tournament was starting up, I was wondering if we would see anybody do a Sylph Cave trap chest grind. And finally seeing it here. Oh! There we go.
And that is go mode.
That is go mode. The math played out. Baron Key inside the ribbon room. Dia is in go mode at about 1 hour and 4 minutes. We'll be heading straight back down to the earth, going straight for Baron, taking out that CPU at the Bygone spot. I somehow remembered that after 1 hour. And we'll take down whoever's on the throne, or on the basement throne. She may decide to take down the normal throne just to not have to walk all the way back out. Because 1 nuke will do it. And then we got to pass. So we'll be at Threemus before you know it, y'all.
Yep. There are differing opinions on if it's faster to walk back out or take down the Baron King spot. If you can walk correctly with no missed inputs, it is faster to walk out, but it's also hard to walk perfect.
Yeah, chat pointing out that with the alt gauntlet still MIA, walking out is probably going to be safer anyway.
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, chat is pointing out there are too many rude bosses left that could still kind of wreck your day. Like Wyvern.
What was it that I said at the beginning of this race? I think I said I would love to see Wyvern on the Odin throne. That's still a possibility.
And CNC pulling an Excalibur out of one of those trap chests.
Cecil go burr.
And CNC may get Cecil up to, I believe it's 45 or 46. That you can get him at 28 agility with a cursed ring.
45 is 28 agility vanilla. So with cursed ring and drain sword, that would put you down to 8, which makes pretty much anybody at their Z levels have RA1. But with the 2 Cecils, you can just get the 1 leveled up to have the X-Cal. The other one can stay on the floor with those 2 agility reducing items, and you should be fine. Oh. Okay.
So Snake Boy has moved down to the basement.
You usurped the wrong throne there, Bigan.
I think Dia needs to call an exterminator to get all these snakes out of this basement.
I think she's sick and tired of all these snakes on this basement throne.
Meanwhile, CNC heading into the lunar subterrane, likely going to go straight down to the same spot that Dia did and get that Baron key. Maybe looking to do grinding by boss fights.
Yeah, Moon Boss grind isn't the worst. We know that the biggest chunk of experience here on the moon is a free fight in the form of Bahamut, so that'll be a nice cool 100,000. But at that point, you're going to also get your go mode. So what do you do then?
Well, I would panic.
Yeah, I would too. Earth Crystal. Well, we're not going to see a treasury today.
Nope. Dia has everything she needs to go whoop some Zeromus behind.
I would be very interested to see in the spoiler log if that legend sword is sitting behind Zato.
That would be so rude. But yep, Coffee and Chocobos heading to that exact same spot. Sees this free fight. It's gonna poke Zeromus a little, or poke Bahamut a little bit.
Yep. And as expected, Dia is running out from the Baron Castle. Wants nothing to do with who's on the throne. Baron Castle will not be liberated today, much to the dismay of her citizens. But at least the world will be saved once Dia makes it to Zeromus.
And it looks like Coffee and Chocobos fighting one of the biggest bosses of Free Enterprise, the inventory boss.
The rudest boss. It's never a free fight.
Oh, and I didn't notice, but CNC did pick up an Avenger. You know, it's even better than a Excalibur Cecil.
An Excalibur Avenger Cecil.
Yes.
Dia showing off some good game knowledge and a little bit of swag here. Instead of flying over to Troya with the airship, grabs that black chocobo out of the chocobo forest there that only appears once you step foot onto the big whale. Flies that over to Troya to get to Zeromus.
But now is the time of the stream where we start seeing these flags come into play.
Yeah, they look like a nice, pretty blue flag. They have a question mark. They got a very nice like flagpole, and then there's like a squiggly line. Be a 2. Like y'all wanting game 2, you're gonna get game 2. Like this is a best of 3. It's guaranteed to get a game 2.
But I think we're supposed to ask a very important question, but I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, like, what question could we ask? Like, the only thing that I could think of asking would be, like, whose butt are we kicking tonight? That doesn't seem right.
No, I think we're supposed to ask how Butt is doing.
Oh, yeah. How is Butt? When is Butt? Why is Butt? Yeah, those are the 3 big questions.
But all joking aside, Zeromus is a little too much to kind of add into the boss pool. but we didn't want him to feel left out in the randomization, so he has lots of different outfits.
Yes, over 450 different possibilities. Some designed by our head developer, Boardface. The rest designed by our lovely, effectively art director. I have something to say in a moment. Scala Kitty, this is hilarious because, Allie, do you remember what our joke message was in the restream assignments?
That Possum isn't supposed to eat the buttons?
That, and I quote, comparing train suplexing techniques on air.
Oh, yeah. We need to suplex the train.
Ground Flyer had a bit of precognition when assigning us to this race and making that the blurb. I'm sure he will enjoy this. But yeah, rather than suplexing, we're probably going to be doing a whole bunch of nukes and whites. Yang's going to throw in a few punches here and there, but we'll likely stop around the 45,000 mark to not trigger the HP refill.
And I know that Dia did pick up a unicorn, so...
Yes, very, very useful here. I'm sending that to Ground Flyer. The Unicorn will remove Berserk status, so you can get some extra damage from your melee fighters, even while doing reflex strats. Remove their Berserk as you approach that 45,000 mark, and then finish it off with reflex.
And in case you were wondering, unicorns can be reflected.
I don't think I knew that.
I don't know if it does anything, but yay.
Well, I mean, if Threemus was berserked, paralyzed, or sleep, I think those are the three things that it cures.
Unicorns cure sleep. Oh my gosh, this changes everything.
I could be wrong. Trusting my game knowledge is very, very bad. Yes, FF4 has sleep.
Yeah, and hitting the character does not clear it.
Cures all temporary status ailments. I'm trying to find the exact sleep, paralysis, confuse, and berserk. So it gets rid of charm too.
Today I learned.
So yeah, if you have a unicorn and you're getting really hecked by Staleman or Luge, get rid of that sleep.
But Dia doing a very nice kind of reflect kill here on Threemus. For a second I thought that she had killed him because he shook.
Yeah, the shake when you get in close. Always. Wait, ooh, that was a big roll. If this kills, we might see a dead Rosa and a dead Palom from the HP taking away.
Well, I guess we'll find out. But Dia has finished in first place with an official race spot time of 1 hour, 15 seconds, and 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 57 seconds.
Hey, Allie, I'm the one that's supposed to make mistakes. Let me have that. GG's to Dia. We will see if we can get her in here for an interview. She takes this game 1 of this 3-game set, putting her 1 victory away from making it to the semifinals. And I believe I heard the glorious Discord badump, which indicates that we are joined by our winner. GG's, Dia.
Thank you.
So, yeah, that didn't seem too bad. What were your thoughts on this seed?
Oh god, oh god, oh god, I'm behind.
Yeah, the the path was pretty much laid out before you, but you were underground probably a good like 14 minutes before Coffee and Chocobos, so you're never really at risk of losing this unless y'all two diverged, but CNC has been following in your footsteps pretty much the entire race.
Now, I have the stream right now, and seeing that party comp, that's just from him is just really scary. Because after Find That Darkness, it's oh crap, D Machine and Go just kind of destroys you.
Yeah, he started off, the first character he took after the starting Cecil was the Cecil that was in Damsian. So he was rocking 2 Dark Knight Cecils for a pretty big portion of this seed. Eventually added up the Palom when Luge on her deals was giving him some troubles, then grabbed the Cane from Baron Inn, and then eventually grabbed the Rosa from Dwarf Castle. But 2 very different party comps. But ultimately, your love of mages pulled you through with another victory.
I would have taken a second Cecil if I found a Holy Sword, but barring that, that's if I don't have an X-Cow or a Crystal Sword, that Cecil is staying on the ground forever.
Yeah, CNC did manage to pull an X-Cal out of a Sylph trap chest, which is where he did a little bit of grinding that he has done. So
yeah, going through this, I really thought during that tower check, I saw it was a free boss, so I wanted to check if I could do that and then 1200 strats or something. But then getting the Baron key just straight at the ribbon room, I was like, oh crap, if he just grinded and ignored that top of tower, I am just out of this.
Yeah, that was a very free boss to get that Baron key.
Yeah. And it's gonna show up on the screen here, but also it gives you your way to the Legend Sword. It's Rat Tail, the Pan, the Sheeta 2, the Sealed Cape to your Legend Sword.
oh, so it was
That's
behind
disgusting.
a huge rabbit hole. So that ribbon room was hard required. Fortunately, it was a free fight.
Yep. And luckily, I didn't have to do that chain.
Chat's asking, you looted 26 treasures. Why so many?
I had a starting Cecil. You need, at that point, you need to kind of find money for Curse String, Warfax Drain Sword, and if you find a weapon, he can be usable for up to around the 30s before you need to, because the Curse Ring Drain would take him back down to 8 once he hits the 28 mark. So you can use him for a good while and still have him as your anchor. I just don't bother with that though. I just knock him off immediately.
Understandable.
Also, where were the life potions?
Silvera. Yeah, we realized you were using Life 1 with Rose there, and we're like, oh yeah, she didn't find the life potions. This is fine. It'll be fine.
I'm sure that D Machine grind with Rosa being in the bottom slot so I could conserve life potions. And then she jumped in the queue and it's well, that's over.
Yeah, that'll happen from time to time though. But looking a little bit forward here, you took game 1, so you're 1 win away from making it to the semifinals. I know that looking too far ahead is definitely not good in a tournament setting, but this puts you, 1, 2, 3, 6 wins away from potential championship. It's been a very long tournament so far for all of us. How excited are you for the chance to be making the semis? Because I know you had an early exit in the football gauntlet.
Definitely feeling better about how I've done this tournament. I feel like I've been playing well, and just hopefully I keep that up. Even if I lose to someone, as long as I'm playing well and not just absolutely throwing, I'm okay with it.
Well, it's going to be very exciting to see. When is your next match?
Next match is going to be Thursday night at the same time. We have not scheduled the third yet, so if that's required, we will schedule that after the Thursday match, most likely.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to watching that race. This entire quarterfinals is very exciting. Every runner at this point has done a great job up to this point, and any race can go in any direction. Thank you so much for racing for us tonight, and GG's again on your victory.
Thank you. Thank you both for the commentary, and thanks for the tracking and reach stream to Morpheus and Gambit.
Thank you so much.
Meanwhile, Coffee and Chocobos did take out that Baigen on the Odin throne and is preparing for his Zeromus fight, while Dia is being so kind as to grace us with music. We have a little bit of Final Fantasy VIII tonight. It's a very good song. Gambit, I petition that you keep the sound on Dia's side through this Zeromus fight, unless she cuts stream. Because CNC is now going to enter into Zeromus and suplex his own train.
And CNC is going to be showing us a little bit different strats since he did not do a dedicated grind. He's going to be doing some 1200 HP strats.
Yep. So 4 of his 5 characters have the requisite 1200 HP for the strategy, which are named after that HP total. You will see star veils go up on the party. You will see crosses going out. Crosses normally cure the curse status, I believe. But they also trigger Zeromus' counter nuke on a very fast animation. So throwing out just a ton of crosses while you have star veils up, you can just get these counter nukes going off, and it takes anywhere from like 30 to 35 counter nukes for Zeromus to go down. All the while you are nerfing the Big Bang so that you will survive every one as long as you have 1200 HP, because a nerfed Big Bang typically maxes out at about 1200 damage. And you can cure up with cure 2s or cure 3s in between if needed. This will be a very, I wouldn't say quick, but a very safe low level strat, and certainly faster than your typical Eddie strat. We have a question from chat about who won the first race for tonight. We keep spoilers out of the chat from other races. If you would like to know, I recommend you watch the VOD. That race was over on the Free Enterprise channel.
But we see the crosses starting to go out, and here's the first of our counter nukes.
Yep, starting off with some vampires. We'll get a little bit of extra damage. You don't want to use the vampires around the 45,000 damage mark, because you will trigger the health refill and it'll just make the fight twice as long. But the extra little bit of damage at the start is good to kind of speed this up.
And I don't remember if we kind of mentioned what we mean by health refill.
Yes, very good point. Both our runners are going to be taking advantage of this quirk of Zeromus. So the Super Nintendo, being a 16-bit system, can hold values, decimal values, up to 65,535, which translates to FF in hexadecimal. The developers wanted Zeromus to have something like 100,000, 120,000 hit points. You'll notice that that's bigger than the maximum value. So what they did instead was they gave Zeromus 61,000 hit points, and then once Zeromus has taken 45,000 points of damage, the next direct attack that he takes will trigger his counter script, because counter scripts only trigger from direct attacks, and that will refill his health back up to 61,000 and switch him over to phase 2, which is when he'll start casting nukes instead of viruses, and will eventually trigger the Meteo phase at less than 12,000 hit points. But by reflecting spells onto him for damage, be it his own counter nuke or your own spells, in the case of reflect strats, you can bypass that counter script, and once he takes 61,000 damage, he's dead.
Yep, and by doing that, it typically will reduce the amount of time it can take. But unfortunately, spell animations also take time, so between regular killing him with the refill and doing reflect strats, it's usually about the same amount of time.
Yeah, it depends on what your strategy is. If you have a overwhelmingly physical party that can pump out a lot of damage, you can just go pure berserk. You don't care about skipping the refill. And if you're doing something like 12,000 damage per round, you can usually even skip the second big bang. That's how quickly you take it down. A more like beginner friendly and something that really helps you get your feet wet is what we call a hybrid strat, where you have a couple of people berserking and a couple of mages reflecting nuke and or white, just to get you through that full health pool a little bit quicker.
But we saw the first Big Bang come out. It was successfully nerfed by CNC, which means basically that Threemus sets his spell power to cast that nuke to a lower number than what he would typically cast his Big Bang at. So what we mean by nerfing it is he sets his spell power to the nuke rather than the Big Bang, which means the Big Bang does less.
Yeah, precisely. If anyone's curious how that script exactly works, when he queues up the Big Bang, the first step of that is for him to set the spell power to a particular value that I've forgotten, and that is what he uses for Big Bang. And then after he sets that, if you cause him to cast a counter nuke, part of the counter nuke script is to lower that spell power, otherwise that nuke is going to obliterate whoever it hits. And because he's already started the Big Bang script, he never actually resets the spell power back to its full power, and it goes off with the adjusted spell power for nuke. So basically what Ali said, but I like hearing myself talk. That was a lot more words.
Well, I wasn't sure if mine made sense at all.
Made perfect sense.
But while CNC is working on the Threemus over here, we can kind of touch on what matches we have coming up for tomorrow.
Yeah. Tomorrow we have 2 more races of these quarterfinals, 2 more game 1s. These are all these times are Eastern Daylight Time. At 7 p.m. we have Dusty Griff versus Aizen Tayama. And that's on RPG Limit Break. Then at 10 p.m. we have Penguinator versus X Pankraz on Free Enterprise. I think I would remember those because I set them up.
And those will be game 1 for both of those sets of runners.
Yep. So after tomorrow, we'll kind of know what the stakes are for the rest of our races this week, as we try and whittle down the field from 8 to 4 from a starting field that was over 100 racers at the beginning of August.
Yep, it has been a long road for these runners. Just a lot of work, a lot of practice. And these runners have been putting in the work, kind of burning the midnight oil. You
could say it's been a very long highway.
a highway to the Threemus zone. But CNC has moved on to crosses, knowing that he is within that threshold to trigger the trigger the HP refill. But thankfully crosses don't do any damage, so they will not trigger that refill.
Somebody in chat has taken my dead characters get XP flag idea into the feedback channel. Oh no.
I had nothing to do with this.
Hallie is completely innocent. Unless you're not. Where were you when this idea was found? You in electrical?
No, I was pushing for having Wyvern be every boss.
Soft clear. Soft clear. But Gambit, Hallie was never in medical. This is why I can't be left to my own devices. I just start making Among Us memes.
Oh, it happens. But I suspect that we should be seeing a flash very soon.
Definitely should be soon. Oh, I was wondering what he was waiting for. Black hole makes sense. I was like, your party is low on hit points. What are you doing?
But at this point, I believe CNC is betting on not seeing another Big Bang, as his party does not have enough to survive even with the nerfed Big Bang.
If I had to place my GP on anybody, I believe that CNC is probably very good at counting and realizes that he's very close to the end.
Counting's hard.
Counting to 61,000 is very hard, especially in a race environment when you're very stressed. It's okay, Morpheus. There's no math for you. Just press the buttons. All right, CNC, you're making me nervous. This Big Bang is coming.
Yeah, I'm...
Ah, there we go. Woo. I honestly feel like the next ATB tick was a Big Bang coming. But GG's to Coffee and Chocobos, finishing with a time of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 46 seconds. Bit of a tongue twister of a time because it's almost really nice and neat, but that 5 and 4 switched up. Also, hi, Coffee and Chocobos.
Hello.
GG's, my friend.
Thank you.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Well, that was, I'm concerned that I was 20 minutes behind, but that was a little bit of a funky seed. I'm disappointed with the fact that finding the black swords for those 2 Cecils was at the final shop that I looked at, and then I should have gone with my gut and taken a 3rd person before going up ordeals. So that, I'm sure that was a huge chunk of time that I lost there.
Yeah, the biggest time loss that you really had throughout the seed was just your your pathing through the overworld was a bit slower. Dia grabbed the Palom from Watery Pass, got Virus pretty early, and then grabbed Itella from Mysidia, whereas you went to more of a melee-focused party, which is definitely viable. But the Seed wasn't very generous with the gear to really help you out once you got those Cecils and Paladins.
Yeah, it was okay with the glass helm and a couple of light swords. And I found the items to make the center Cecil and anchor if I wanted to go that route. I was debating whether or not to take the Tella because it was a really good setup for Mac Giants if that opportunity presented itself. But like you said, with Dia making those choices earlier, it probably would have lent itself well to doing that melee focus party. Did she do a traditional grind or do the low level strats too?
She did the machine grind after getting the Darkness Crystal, and then she did pretty much exactly what you did. After getting the Darkness Crystal, she went to go check that fight at the top of Kiva's Tower, hoping to maybe just pull the key or the sword from there, and then go do the low-level strats. But once it wasn't there, she just decided to go to a machine grind.
Gotcha. Yeah, I wanted to take a shot at the Ribbon Room to see if I could grab one of the items that was remaining, and obviously that was the Baron Key, and I did the rat tail check to see if that led to the Legend Sword real quick, and it didn't.
It did eventually, by the way. the pen led to Luca Key at Sheila 2, and it was in Sealed Cave. Yeah,
that would have been a bigger rabbit hole than just diving into Baron and taking care of business there. Although I am glad I didn't go out Baron through the throne. Mr. Ha 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 was waiting there.
Oh, that's good to know. We were discussing the merits of walking out versus gambling that wasn't Alt Gauntlet or Golbez, so y'all both made the right choice there.
Definitely was Golbez. That would have been ugly.
Yep.
But otherwise, how are you feeling about your next match?
Well, you can only take them one at a time, and I lost my last match of lost my first match of the last round, and that turned out okay. But I don't think Dia's gonna let up off the gas pedal. Not that I think Antidale did, but well, we'll see how it goes.
Yep. Quarterfinals. Today was the first day. It's shaping up to be a really exciting week. Best of luck to you in Game 2. And hopefully we see a Game 3. I know that's obviously what you're hoping for, but it also means more free enterprise for us up here in the booth, behind the scenes, and all of our viewers. So.
Yep, definitely. Thank you.
All right.
With that, I believe this concludes our match for tonight.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Thank you all for coming out. This was also the last match of the day. If you missed the first race, like I know I did, that will be available on the Free Enterprise channel. You can check the VOD, and we'll soon be up on our YouTube channel. I think they're typically a day after, just because of Twitch partner contract stuff. But one more shout out to those behind the scenes, Gambit and Possum Morpheus, and then Ali across the booth from me. Thank you so much. I always enjoy our late night comms, even if tonight wasn't a super late night.
Absolutely. I enjoy it as well. And also give a follow to the runners. They are the ones putting on this show for you.
Dia is definitely worth a follow. She's always showing off some new tech that completely breaks the game wide open. And CoffeeAndChocobos is just a fantastic racer. And anytime he's playing FE is worthwhile. But while we sit here and ramble on, I believe we're going to be sending y'all over to the RPG Valkyries. They are in the middle of their fall speedrun marathon, Speedrun Ragnarok. I know a lot of us here in the Free Enterprise community are close with the Valks and also helping out with that marathon, raising money for a good cause. Please consider watching and enjoy that marathon, and we'll see you tomorrow for 2 more races.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.